Remember, y'all, if you're ever visiting Hawaii, the first rule, don't shake your shaka. Holy cow, Kolten Wong. 3-homer game, first of his career, 3 of the 4 hits. Have yourself a night. Oh, and Brandon Woodruff had 11 strikeouts. Are we just letting that slide under the rug? Great day for the Brew Crew. Let's start the weekend off right.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning. It's Friday. It's chilly outside. Fall is here. Is this real fall or is this fake fall? You tell me. This is only my second time going through this, so is this real fall? Let me know. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. This is Locked On Brewers, your only daily podcast Monday through Friday, right here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast as well. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has more lines, more odds, and more props than ever before. Get started today and get in on the action at betonline.net. I'm the post-game host on WTMJ for the home of the Brewers, and I'm the statistician for Bally Sports Wisconsin. I was working yesterday. It was a good one to be working, to say the least. We're back in the home studio, as you can tell as well. And the Brew Crew got it done. They controlled what they could control. As we start the episode, standings update. The Phillies beat the Braves yesterday 1-0. They had opportunities, but tip your cap to the Phillies. They got the job done. So the Brewers remain 2.5 games back, essentially 3.5 games back of a playoff spot. There are 12 games to go. The Padres lost to the Cardinals yesterday, which means the Brewers are now 3 games in standings back of the second wildcard spot, which means they're 4 back. The reason why I bring that up is because if you keep winning and say Philly keeps winning, the point is San Diego is only a half game up now on Philly. It could flip all of a sudden, and if you keep winning and San Diego keeps falling, that's suddenly the team you're chasing. And everything is getting a little more squished where suddenly 1-2 game swing and you could see full-on standings changes. As long as you win and you control what you can control, the Brewers are going to have a decent chance. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect because the problem is the Brewers can still go 10-2 and realistically not make the postseason in these final 12 games. You can look back to June, you can look back to August, you can even look back right before the All-Star break. There were opportunities for the Brewers to gain a game here or there. It hasn't happened. We can talk about that in the offseason. But right now, win games is all that matters. And the fashion they did it yesterday, what a way to do it. Kolten Wong, 3-homer game, the first of his career. Got some fun nuggets on the back end of that. Is there enough to be concerned about the offense, though, that it was all Kolten Wong show yesterday? Brandon Woodruff, we're not going to ignore him. 11 strikeouts, third straight start with 10 or more strikeouts. That's tying a franchise record. While researching some of this, I found an insane stat, not having to do with the Brewers. I'm going to show that a little bit later. And I did this on the postgame show last night, and it's hard to do trivia on a podcast, but I just want you to sit and think for yourself for a second. And if you were listening last night, you know the answer to this. So, surprise, you know the answer. Who do you think has the most 3-homer games in Brewer history? Okay? No cheating. I'm going to reveal the answer at the end of the podcast. All right? So just think to yourself. There's no prize. Pat yourself on the back if you get it right. But who do you think has the most 3-homer games in Brewers franchise history? It's not a trick question of any sort. It's not like a guy. It's just simply who has the most 3-homer games in franchise history. Kolten Wong became the 16th player ever to wear a Brewer jersey to have a 3-homer game and the 22nd such game in franchise history. So there are multiple guys that have hit multiple 3-homer games. Keep that in mind. So that's your trivia question to think about here throughout the show. We're going to talk Kolten, we're going to talk Brandon, and we're just going to move along with the pitching rotation because the big news today, Eric Lauer is getting the start today. We do not know what kind of a pitch count he's on. We know he's been throwing bullpens for the last 2 weeks. He was shut down for 3 to 4 days and has seemed to bounce back from that A-OK. He will be activated off the injured list and ready to go today. And the Brewers, and I had this conversation actually in the studio yesterday with Tim Dillard. When it was learned also, Freddie Peralta could be starting on Sunday. TBD on that still, but the Brewers feel that he could be ready. And my thought is, as I've said on this show, why? Why rush Freddie Peralta back? And Tim made a good point. He said, look, everybody hurts in September. Everybody hurts. Everyone's arms hanging. Everyone's got something they're dealing with, and you want to do it for your team. And furthermore, if Freddie's healthy and the doctors feel he's healthy, the Brewers aren't just going to roll him out there thinking, all right, go get him. No, in today's world of pitchers being taken care of and the sports science and the arm care that we have behind it, the Brewers would not put him out there on Sunday, if he does pitch on Sunday, without feeling like it would be detrimental to him for the offseason. And the big point that Tim made, too, was if you get 2 innings out of Freddie Peralta in a bullpen game, that's better than 0 innings out of Freddie Peralta in a bullpen game. And he's absolutely right. Given how many times the Brewers have had to get creative with their bullpen, and we don't know how much of it's going to be needed today with Eric Lauer coming back, that does make sense. Can you get 2 innings and up-down out of Freddie Peralta? Cool. That kills 2 innings. You can move it to Luis Perdomo or to Brent Suter after that to give you some length, see where the game is standing and what the game dictates, and go from there. So I understand it. I'm still kind of on the fence. I want to see him healthy. I want to see those velos. Because remember, we saw him sitting in the upper 80s in his last start before we went back on the IL with shoulder fatigue. So I still kind of hesitate about that. But Eric Lauer getting today, his Zoom ball has been hovering right around 92 all season now. He was up earlier in the year, but he's come back down to earth at his normal 92 cruising speed. So want to make sure that's still there as well. 90 to 92 is where he likes to cruise. What's he going to do to get all these righties out as well for the Reds batting order? So good to see Eric Lauer coming back. The catch, though, is the Brewers will have to make a roster move. Their 28-man is full right now. It's likely that you're probably going to see somebody like a reliever like a Jake Cousins or even, dare I say, a Peter Strzelecki just to be optioned down for the few days because the minor league season's about to end, by the way, too, for the AAA anyway this weekend. They do need to make room for him somehow, so they need to put him on the active roster. Keep in mind that move is looming for the Brew Crew. So Lauer getting the start here tonight, 5:40, same time, same place, first pitch from Cincinnati. Then tomorrow, Corbin Burns, heck yes, love that, going up against the Reds, and then finishing off with maybe a bullpen day started by Freddie Peralta. Okay, we've talked plenty about what's to come. We have not talked nearly enough about Kolten Wong. I wonder if you could have found odds on Kolten Wong on BetOnline last night, just for 1 home run, let alone 3. By the way, Aaron Judge, his odds yesterday, he almost did it to hit number 61, was plus 190. Didn't happen. Could have cashed that one at BetOnline, your number one source for all your betting info, including football. Had Thursday Night Football last night. College football is on there too, with the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, in-depth articles, and analysis on every single game. Of course, a big one this weekend for the Badgers, heading over to the Shoe, taking on Ohio State. You can find everything you want if you want to get in some action at betonline.net. You can use your phone or go online on your desktop to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Kolten Wong. There are so many ways we can go with this. 4 hits total for the Brewers, 3 of them by Kolten Wong, all 3 homers. 2 of them 2-run homers. The Brewers did draw 5 walks in this game. For Kolten Wong to do it now, all 3 pull shots within a 30-yard radius of each other. He found what he liked, and he's been dominating righties. Craig Counsell actually made sure to point that out after the game yesterday that, hey, look, his April was weird. Vinny Rottino talked about that on the show yesterday. But he has been dominating righties all year. And you know what? He's right. We've only been paying attention to how bad he's been against lefties this season compared to what he was last year. He's got an 823 OPS against righties this season. 14 of his 15 home runs, which, by the way, is a new career high, have come against right-handed pitching. He's got a 351 on-base percentage. I mean, he's doing his job against righties. So if he could have figured out lefties like he did last season, you would feel a whole lot better about picking up a $10 million team option, but I digress. I still don't see the Brewers picking that option up and letting him walk to be a free agent. But if you're going to help him and try to get him back on track, and he's trying to prove to other 29 teams that, hey, I can still hit, I know I can play defense, it could work out for everybody involved. But for Kolten Wong, let's go through some of the tidbits here. And a reminder on the trivia question, who do you think has the most 3-homer games in Brewers history? The answer is coming in a little bit. Kolten Wong, 16th player ever for the Brewers, 22nd 3-homer game in Brewer history, so there were multiples. Get this, he's the second Hawaiian-born player to have a 3-homer game. And the first one really isn't that big of a surprise. Mike Lum, who was the first Japanese-American baseball player to make it to the big leagues. He played with Hank Aaron back in the day. He had a 3-homer game with the Braves back in 1970 against the Padres and an 8-1 win for the Braves over the Dads. So second ever Hawaiian-born to have a 3-homer game. And in case you missed it, it is Kolten Wong's first 3-homer game of his career. Another fun note coming out of this, coming from Elias Sports, that Kolten Wong becomes the second player ever to have 3 home runs, 3 home runs with the team only having 4 hits, and all 3 home runs coming from the same player. The only other time that ever happened was back in 1993. Carlos Baerga belted 3 homers in Detroit as Cleveland lost 9-5, actually, in that game. He was playing for Cleveland. He had 4 hits in the game, that coming from Elias and director of PR and stat extraordinaire Mike Vassallo coming on Twitter yesterday. And oddly enough, also, Mike Vassallo also credits Pat Murphy for helping the inspiration to find that nugget. So I thought that was a fun one, too. Other fun stuff from this one for Kolten Wong. So the Brewers have allowed exactly 4 hits in 3 consecutive games. I thought that was kind of a funny bit. Obviously, they lost the game on Tuesday night, but that's something. That's kind of fun. For Kolten, man, he needed it. His manager talked about it after the game yesterday. It's like, look, Willie's been carrying the team for a while. You need somebody else to call it. I wonder who else was complaining about trying to get someone else to carry the team as of late. Anyway, tonight it was Kolten. That's what Craig Counsell said. For Kolten to deliver the way that he did, he's not a power hitter. He wasn't up there, I think, trying to hit homers, but that he can hit a high fastball with the best of them. The Brewers get to Hunter Green again, but granted, Hunter Green pitched pretty well in this game. 8 strikeouts over 5 innings of work. He did have 3 walks. The Brewers are going to see this kid for a long time. He's 23 years old. Kolten Wong, the experience got him. The lefty tags the righty, puts him in the book, says aloha to that baseball that he hit, the first one anyway, off of Hunter Green. The Brewers, I also tip my cap to Hunter Green because he mixed up the repertoire, a lot more changeups than usual in this start. Still throwing a lot of sliders, but he's not backing down from anybody. He'll throw fastballs. He'll try to. It's the command that's really failing him right now. But again, he's only 23 years old. And Vinny Rottino, friend of the pod, talked about this on the show yesterday. He lost a year to development because of Tommy John surgery, and he lost another year of development for the COVID year. He's learning it in the big leagues, kind of like what we say with Aaron Ashby. For Kolten Wong, he needed it. He said so after the game that he was close. He's been close. He's been close over the Yankees series, been close over the Mets series. And to see him click it into gear, it's nice. But all that matters is the team won. Yes, they didn't get any ground on Philly, but they win, and that's the only thing they can control. Let's talk about Brandon Woodruff now. I mean, oh my goodness. Brandon Woodruff, 11 strikeouts, 6 strong innings, 3 hits allowed, just 1 run on a solo homer, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. I want to get out in front of this. Hand up. I wanted Woodruff to go back out there for the 7th inning. Knowing how gassed that bullpen is right now, knowing you have an off day on Monday, so you do have the option to start him on normal rest and have him pitch against the Cardinals on Tuesday, or give him an extra day and pitch him on the 5th game, also against the Cardinals on Wednesday. So they had an opportunity to get him off his feet on Monday, but they decided to go 6 innings. He threw a total of 96 pitches, 61 for strikes, 3 hits, 2 of them singles, 1 of them the home run, another quality start. His numbers since returning from the injured list are just so good. 7-1 record now in 16 starts, a 2.49 ERA, 120 strikeouts. That's the 3rd most in the National League. Only 3 back of Spencer Strider and 1 back of Blake Snell. That's some pretty good company right there. So Woodruff's 3rd in strikeouts since coming off the IL. That's ahead of Carlos Rodon, Yu Darvish, Max Scherzer, Corbin Burns. Granted, Scherzer missed a couple of starts due to an oblique. Zach Gallen, Aaron Nola, Nick Lodolo, Sandy Alcantara. You get the point? Brandon Woodruff is putting the team on his back. Just like we talk about, Willy Adames is putting the team on his back. And it begs the question. Remember, we spent a lot of Monday talking about future rotation, what the Brewers could do. So with Woodruff going today, they decided to keep Eric Lauer actually going tomorrow. Corbin Burns will go Saturday. So Corbin Burns is still in the same spot. You flip Wu and Lauer. You could start Wu on Wednesday against the Cardinals. So the way you look at it, if you want to get short start out of him, if you want to get short rest and get 3 more starts out of him, you can do it by having him start on either Tuesday or Wednesday against the Cardinals. Let's say he starts Tuesday against the Cardinals on his normal 5th day. He would then have to start on 3 days rest on Saturday against the Marlins. And that would set him up to pitch on 3 days rest for the last day of the regular season. Is it going to be realistic? I don't know, given the Brewers have always been very gentle with their arms, especially at the end of the season. But look, I'm going to be completely honest. Right now, this is at this very moment. I'm not talking about what they've done in the past. I'm not talking about what they're going to do in the future. I'm talking right now. After these last 16 starts I've seen from Brandon Woodruff, that's the guy you want to start the final game of the season. If your season is on the line for one game right now, and I know Corbin Burnes is the reigning Cy Young Award winner, I think you agree with this take. You would want Brandon Woodruff right now in a do-or-die game. Think of it as a game 163. Who would you want to start it right now? Brandon Woodruff. He has been the best pitcher on the Brewers, one of the best pitchers in the National League, and he deserves his respect. He continues to do exactly what the team asks of him. Hey, Woo, can you get us 6 innings? The bullpen's kind of shaky right now. Gotcha. No problem at all. Brandon Woodruff is just a consummate pro. And despite that injury earlier in the year, he's still got a chance to eclipse 200 strikeouts. It's going to take a heck of an effort. He's 27 strikeouts away. He's not going to get over 170 innings or anything like that. He had 179 innings last season. But this was his 25th start of the season yesterday. For Woodruff, 12 wins now. That is a new career high in wins in a season for him. I know the wins don't really matter anymore, but hey, don't tell that to the pitcher. That's a cool thing. To get a dozen wins, you're doing something right, and it's not just your offense scoring for you. And it goes further back. So you go back to that June 28th start when he dominated against the Rays. 16 starts now. The team is 11-5 in those 16 starts. 11-5. And in the losses, right, in those 5 losses, he's got a quality start in those 5 losses in 1, 2, counting it out live here, 3 of them. That's 3 of the 5 losses having quality starts. Come on. That man's doing his job. He deserves all the recognition. He even has an outside shot to get his season ERA under 3, which would really look nice. He's at 3.18. It would take some really special starts down the stretch, but there's an outside shot he could pull that off, and I'd love to see that for him. Mentioned it earlier, 3 straight double-digit strikeout games. That ties the franchise record for the Brewers. Corbin Burnes did it earlier this year in April, and then his first start in May. And then back in 2011, Giovanni Gallardo did it as well. 3 straight starts with 3 or more strikeouts. Now, the quick note, or 10 or more strikeouts, I'm sorry. The quick note I found about consecutive starts with the strikeout, that blew my mind. And I don't want to have this devolve into a MVP debate because Aaron Judge almost hit number 61 yesterday. It came so close. The cameraman fooled everybody. It was pretty funny. But did you know that right now, Shohei Ohtani is on a streak of 6 consecutive starts with 10 or more strikeouts? 6 straight starts with 10 or more strikeouts. No one else has more than 4. We're going to sit back in 25, 30 years and be like, oh my God. Kind of like, call me a nerd if you want. Most people do. 1947 American League MVP race. That was the year Joe DiMaggio hit 56-game hitting streak. Ted Williams also hit for the Triple Crown. Ted Williams lost the MVP to Joe DiMaggio because of vote splitting and things of that. Now, I think Aaron Judge is going to be the MVP. If I had to vote today, if I had a vote, I would vote for Aaron Judge. But it does set a crazy standard of like, hey, what does it take to finally knock off Shohei Ohtani? Oh, you need to break a record that stood for 61 years and in a walk year and lead baseball in virtually every other category. I just found that fascinating that Shohei Ohtani has 6 consecutive starts with at least 10 or more strikeouts. And it's active. Or he had that stretch was from June to the end of July. Beg your pardon. So during that stretch, he had 68 strikeouts in 39 innings pitched. So averaging just over 5 innings pitched per start. And he's hitting. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Again, 5:40 first pitch tonight, 5:40 first pitch tomorrow, then a 12:40 first pitch on Sunday to wrap up the final road trip of the season. What a sentence to say, right? We'll be back with another pod for you Monday morning. All week, be getting ready for the end of the season. We'll have a pod every morning, and then we'll have a full end-of-season wrap-up when things are finally done. Now, the answer to the trivia question. I didn't forget about you. The answer to who has the most 3-homer games in Brewers franchise history. One last thought. Okay, time's up. You got it wrong. Ben Ogilvy. Yeah. From 1979 through 1983, he had 3 different 3-homer games as a Brewer. If you're thinking, oh, well, what about, he had 4 3-homer games. Dyslexic. 4 3-homer games from 1979 through 1983 for Ben Ogilvy. Really good company there. In case you were wondering, Richie Sexson, he hit 2 of them. If you're thinking Jeff Jenkins, he hit 2 of them. If you're thinking Ryan Braun, he hit 2 of them. Jeremy Burnitz, he hit 2 of them. Prince Fielder, 1. Paul Molitor, 1. Dale Swaim, 1. Rob Deere, 0. I did that live on radio yesterday. That was the most popular answer. I was shocked to see Rob Deere, 0 3-homer games as a Brewer. The more you know. That's it for this episode. I hope you all have a great weekend. I'll be on the grass tomorrow at Erin Hills, enjoying this cooler weather. Is fall actually? Is this really fall? Should I break out the hoodies again? I think we're there. I'm a big hoodie guy. Thanks for listening. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. Follow the show account at Locked On Brewers or follow myself at Dom_Cotroneo. See you watching the game tonight, 5:40 first pitch. Until next time, keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.